How are you doing? Welcome to Marriott. For some of you who've just been here for the very first time, feel at home. Yeah, I always say that to myself because, you know, some of our homes are not this comfortable. So that's why I say feel at home. My name is Arthur, and I'm going to be the MC or the host of today. Yes, thank you for clapping. It means you believe in me. Now, I would love to start off by complimenting you and each other. Turn to your neighbor and tell them you look amazing today. And please, make sure they reply. What did they say? Great. Welcome to the launch of iLead program here in Rwanda. And it's been here. I'll be telling you more about it. We have students coming from different schools. So wherever you are, can you just shout the name of your school? 1, 2, 3, let's go! That's the spirit. Well, I can't scream my school. I last went to school long time ago. We are those students you ask, where do you go to school? You see when you go down and you take left. It reminds me where you grew up. I grew up from Uganda in a village called Masanaf. I don't know if any of you guys know that place. It's so far for me to be here, it's a blessing. It's those places whereby the bathroom is always outside and the key is always under the stone and you always have to give directions. Now, once you go left, that's the life I grew up in, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm blessed. And the reason why I'm bringing the word blessed is because you are blessed to be part of iLead Rwanda program. I'll be honest with you. I never got a chance of taking such moments, and that's why I brought in my history. You guys are blessed. Not only are you in a very beautiful technological world, but you get information. Can you imagine? What did you give? Now, today you are going to get more details about this program. Before we start, I'm just going to have like a quick prayer so that we start off with a blessing. So I'm just going to start off. You can also take your own. Father, Lord, thank you very much for today. Thank you for giving us this moment. Thank you for taking us through this journey to the day of launching iLead Rwanda program. Father, navigate us through this day. Help us to understand and bless us with wisdom to take everything that is going to be said on this stage and let it be important in our lives. I pray all this in the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord. Amen. Now, before we start, I understand most of you are doubting Thomas, if I can say. And I don't want to start off with speeches or anything. I want to start off with testimonials. Is anybody here have any knowledge about iLead Rwanda program? With show of hands. All right, good. I love. No, this is what I expected. Because if you all knew, then why are we here? All right? This is what I expected. Now, before I start, I'm going to be giving you some information, but I'll also call upon some 2 students that are going to give us testimonials of how they got to know this program. If I can give a brief, the iLead program is a youth leadership development program that was conceived by John C. Maxwell, and we are blessed to have the team from the Maxwell Foundation with us here today. Now, he's the world's most celebrated leadership guru. Now, he developed this program over 40 years ago, working with leaders of all spheres all over the world. Now, it's been practiced in about 3 countries, that is South America, impacting over 1.8 million students. And guess where it's being launched for the very first time in Africa? Rwanda. That's the spirit. That's the spirit. Now, before we continue, before we go on, I would love to welcome Green Hills. There are 2 students that we have here that are going to be giving us a testimonial. Before we even get to understand what is it, I want you to hear it from them first. Then I'll give you a moment with presentation so you can get more details. So I'm going to welcome them wherever you are. You okay? You are the VIP. Yeah, you know, in shows. In shows, we have VIP at the front, IP in the middle, and P's at the back. It literally means very important people, and people. All right. Well, I've been told they are not around. For reasons some of us have been through, every time you're about to do an exam, there is a place you always have to go first. If you know, you know. If you don't get it, so they've just asked me to buy them at least 5 minutes. Is that okay? In the meantime, I'm going to be moving around. You know, at the end of the day, we need to know each other. I told you my name is Arthur, and I'm going to be just surprising some of you. Hey, I'll be coming. Hello, how are you? What's your name?
Mwari Anael.
Who?
Mwari Anael.
Hey, these kids have good names. Ariel. You can even make a very good Instagram account from there. People are called Nzaba Mngiti Chona Shatse. What Instagram account can you give that person? Zijira Babo Marte. On Instagram, it was Zigimar. Hello, how are you?
Fine.
What's your name?
Priscilla.
Even if you decide to be a singer, you don't have to come up with a new name. Nigerians are suffering. Ogujulu, Ogubele, Banaboy. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
Honest.
Oh, wow. Honest. Yeah. You know, names are very tricky. You go to prison and find people called innocent. All right. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine.
You're good. What's your name?
Joshua.
Joshua. What are you expecting here today?
A lot about iLead.
Yes. Thank you. I was expecting you to say, and have some free drinks, and we need to be honest. Thank you very much. Well, I hope we have them here. Oh, amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be hearing from some of the students that have been introduced. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome them like the superstars. It's not easy to stand on this stage and talk to you, especially, trust me, I've been there. So let's welcome them all the way from Green Hills, representing the school and giving us the testimonials. Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is all yours.
Good morning, honorable guests, ladies, gentlemen, and learners. My name is Bemnet Tanketem, and I'm a Green Hills iLead facilitator. Thank you all for being part of this memorable occasion. I hope that everything I say will be listened to and not just heard. This is a key aspect of what I've learned by engaging in the iLead program. On behalf of Green Hills Academy, we're very pleased and honored that we iLead facilitators are all here and pleased with the venue. It's quite different from our typical classroom. We feel honored to be among great leaders from Rwanda and from around the world. We embarked on this journey of personal growth about 6 weeks ago. The experience has been a mixture of emotions. At first, when the program was introduced to us by Pastor Hassan, we were all anxious and firstly wanted to know whether this will be homework or a test. But upon undergoing the training as facilitators of the program, I quickly realized that this was an eye-opening experience that would change not only the lives of me, but the lives of my peers as well. The experience would make them think differently, make them comfortable about who they are and how they fit into the fabric of society, and the impact they make as future transformational leaders. However, that being said, we the youth are currently living in a society that is judgmental, petty, self-centered, largely lacking in strength of character that will make us grow not only as patriotic citizens, but with a sustained commitment to being part of the synergy that will make the world a better place. By engaging in this program at Green Hills Academy for the last 6 weeks, there has been a lot of change amongst us, starting with the anxiety of what the program is all about. Then, from how the first roundtable, it triggered emotions that we largely ignored. The emotions that one feel when they start digging deep into themselves to start finding who they truly are. This was not easy for many of us, including myself, as we wear masks every day to keep up on appearances so that society will not judge us. Some of us quickly jumped at the opportunity to explore this new idea of personal growth, but some are still shy, but are beginning to show the confidence needed to share their areas of strength and areas that need to grow. The roundtable sessions made us interact with peers we usually do not interact with as much. The sessions continue to break barriers that we teenagers have built around us and our struggle to understand ourselves and the world around us. I have seen my peers transition from quiet and closed in to confident and engaging. I have also seen my peers who started with being judgmental about the tasks given in the workbook and now realizing how the tasks made them unlock strength they never knew they had in themselves. I myself have things to work on as a facilitator, even though there might be questions I want answers to, even though I might go through something and not tell anyone about it, even though as a facilitator, I might listen more and not talk as much, even though I hear stories from different people that come from different backgrounds. I myself have challenges that I have faced, and I know I am not perfect. And knowing that helps me a lot and let me know what I can work on, or how small I am compared to the strength we have gained as working as a group. And I hope this experience helps you too. As this program has taught us so far, that anything we do in life begins with the first steps, and the steps we choose to make need us to work as a community with a shared vision. With confidence and the ability to adapt to situations that we may meet as we grow to be transformational leaders of our society. In this 6 weeks, I already felt a significant shift in the way I look at myself, in the way I address challenges that I meet every day, and how I relate to others. I can't help but wonder what type of leaders will be at the end of the 3-year program. I look forward to it. Once again, my name is Bamnet Tanketem in grade 9, and I am a proud iLead facilitator at Green Hills Academy. I would like to introduce my very able peer facilitator in grade 10, Hibba Omar, to make her presentation in regards to her experience in the iLead program. Thank you very much.
Good morning, honorable hosts, esteemed guests, and distinguished founders. My name is Hibba Omar, and I'm one of the facilitators in our iLead program at GHA. The program was implemented 6 weeks ago, and in this period of time, my entire perspective of the project has changed. At Green Hills Academy, we embarked on this 3-year program, which is divided into 3 phases. I choose, I do, and I lead. For the past 6 weeks, we started with exploring how to make good choices and practicing them, and how to maintain a positive attitude, and how to commit to our set goals. To be frank, in the beginning, I was apprehensive. I worried that I wouldn't be able to keep the interest of my group members and persuade them to keep motivated in each of our sessions, especially when none of the people in my group were necessarily my friends. I worried that our conversations would be bleak and we would miss the objective that the iLead program stands for. The first few sessions were slow. We had not yet warmed up to each other and everyone seemed extremely uninterested. Luckily, the books were there to save the day. The iLead books have given cues that indicate a new speaker, discussion questions, reflection time, and interesting stories, which kickstarted the conversation and led to many healthy debates. I particularly was thankful for this change because the awkward silences were truly excruciating. My group consists of 5 girls who were very timid and quiet in the beginning. It was a tedious task to encourage them to speak, and I managed to, but only for the mandatory reading sections and nothing more. Surely, slowly though, we grew confident and not only engaged and started conversations, but we also opened up about our personal lives, experiences, hardships, and how we overcame them. We now had an entirely different issue at hand. We were talking too much. Getting back on track would sometimes be difficult, for I did not want to dismiss the conversations and dampen the growing synergy, but I knew that I would need to use this to enhance the quality of discussions in future roundtable sessions. I now understand why teachers allow us to go off track from time to time in our classroom discussions, for it builds familiarity and creates a conductive learning environment. Through this program, I've seen peers who are strong, confident, success-driven, dominate conversations within their groups and leave the rest behind, transform into leaders who realize that if their strengths aren't shared with others to encourage their peers to grow, then we have failed as leaders. I myself realized the difference between leading a conversation or simply being an active member. Inclusivity is a major part of the iLead's experience. If we grow as a collective and not only as individuals, our community in and out of school will thrive. This is a lifelong lesson, and we hope that each member of the program will implement the lessons we have learned in their future. 6 weeks is a short period of time for such an awakening journey. As a bunch of teenagers going through the most impressionable years of our lives suddenly realize we have to look beyond just ourselves and recognize the responsibility we have as the youth of Rwanda to start paving our paths to becoming transformational leaders in our society. To conclude, I look forward to the next units and phases of the program. I'm keen to see the growth within ourselves and how it impacts the world around us. Just imagine having this generation in Rwanda go through this program and in 10 years being a part of human resources. A workforce that understands growth is about finishing the race and not just starting it. A generation that has a positive attitude and healthy mechanisms to overcome challenges. A generation that is both strong in mind and spirit. Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to share my experiences in the iLead program.
Thank you very much. Wow, 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 wow. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not even going to say these are leaders in the making. These are leaders, full stop. Yeah, yeah. I think we all need such a program to skill us, equip us with the skill sets needed in this market. I'm sure some of you will understand that once you graduate, you realize that there is a lot out there, and all you need is your mind to be ready for it. And such programs are to equip your mind. Think of it as manure, if you know what I mean, fertilizers. You need to add more fertilizers to your minds so that once you go out there, you can easily grow what you put. And I'm saying this because I want you to be very, very interested in what's going to be said here on stage. Some of you said you do not know about this program. Lucky you. Today is your lucky day. All right? Now, different schools have played a very big role in making sure this program is enrolled in different schools, and we really, really have to appreciate all the schools. Can you just help me give a round of applause to all schools that have believed in this program, that have taken it in? Of course, there are more schools that are going to be enrolled, but for now we have a few. And we are blessed to have the representative of who's going to be speaking on behalf of the other schools. Allow me to welcome the principal of Wellspring Academy to come and give his remarks so we understand why did the school pick an interest. Thank you.
Our guest of honor, distinguished guests, fellow educators, students, good morning. My name is Stephen Rudachemwa. I serve as the principal of Wellspring Academy. As Arthur already mentioned, and I'm here to share my experience of my testimony in regards to the iLead program. My school, like any other school, we have a vision and we have a mission. Looking at our school vision as Wellspring Academy, we exist to produce a new generation of servant leaders to bless Rwanda and display the best of Rwanda to the world. It would be hard for me to cite each school's vision, but I'm sure whether we have a statement of producing leaders or not, as long as we are called to be a school, our core mandate or our core mission is to equip, is to prepare future leaders. Regardless of how we do it, our core mandate is to prepare the next generation to be the next leaders. But most of the time, you find that we sometimes forget what is very key, and we focus much on teaching math, teaching science, teaching French, and the rest of the other subjects. And we miss out the very key aspect of equipping the next leaders with leadership skills, as Arthur put it when he was referring to the schools that he went to. So this is what has been happening, and I happen to be some of the school leaders who struggled very hard to get what to teach to our next generation when it comes to equipping them with leadership skills. And the challenge has been the what to teach and how to teach when it comes to leadership. Because this is a very broad and huge concept, especially when it comes to equipping leadership. And in this confusion, here comes the iLead Rwanda. And before I go any further, I would love to humbly request whoever in the house to put our hands together, and we appreciate the following people. One, I would love to take this opportunity to appreciate the John Maxwell Leadership Foundation for two things. One, for taking their time, their knowledge, and put together a very well-drafted program like the iLead program that we have. That's one. Two, as Arthur put it, choosing the continent of Africa and Rwanda specifically, and they said, let's take the iLead program to Rwanda. Can you appreciate them? John Maxwell Leadership Foundation, please, thank you so much, and may God bless you for that. Two, I would also wish to extend my appreciation to the African New Life Ministries for accepting to be the implementing organization or the host. Because I'm sure had it not been that was the African New Life Ministries that accepted to be the host of the program, I don't think we would have been here. Can we also appreciate African New Life Ministries? Thank you so much. And lastly, I would also wish to extend my appreciation to the government of Rwanda and the Ministry of Education for accepting the program to be implemented in our schools. Let's also appreciate our government. Now, you will allow me, I will not go back to how useful the program is, because we have heard from Green Hills students, and we are yet to hear from other speakers. But from my experience, with the drafted materials of the iLead program and the very well approach of the round table discussions, I can confidently say that the future of Rwanda is very bright. And as I conclude, I just want to quote Abraham Lincoln, one of the America's great presidents. He once said, "The philosophy of the classroom in today's generation will be the philosophy of the government in the next generation." Which means the way how we teach our children today will actually influence tomorrow's government. And with all our students will be getting from the iLead, be it with the choices they make, be it with the leadership values of integrity and all that they are equipped with, this has been the missing link in our education system. And with the iLead program, my heart is at peace when I dream or when I think of the future of our country. And with that, I would love all of us once more to put our hands together and appreciate John Maxwell Leadership Foundation and Africa New Life Ministries. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that was indeed a very good speech that you've given. How are you? You are good? How is everything? Are you eager to learn more about iLead Rwanda program? For those who don't know, are you eager to learn more? Well, the yes is the kind of yes you give when they ask you to do something you don't want to do. So, again, are you eager to learn more about iLead Rwanda program today? Yes. That's the spirit, and that's the spirit we are keeping, because I paid for that breakfast. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome a guest of honor. We are blessed to have a representative from the Ministry of Education that is going to be here with us, and thank you very much for coming. You just found us in some energy of not knowing how they say, I don't know. And the answer to that, you have to say, uko bavuga iryo jambo ni simbizi. You have to really complete these questions. Now, are we together? All right. Thank you very much for coming in. And I think now we can watch the documentary. Maybe I can give a brief recap on it. Dear guest of honor, we've just started the program, and we're about to watch a documentary that gives us a brief recap, understanding of how far have we come, some of the success stories that we've seen through this program. And this short video is going to set it straight, and it's going to be a very good way of kickstarting today's talks. Enjoy the documentary. Thank you. Wow, what a great way to end it. The choices I make today determine my future. And I'll be honest with you, the best choice you've made today is to come here, because you're about to learn more. And I'm not the one to give you more information. I'm not the one to really go deep into the program or give you the what and the when. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the iLead Rwanda program manager, who's going to now give us an in-depth understanding of this program. Ladies and gentlemen, iLead Rwanda program manager taking us through the journey. Thank you.
Our guest of honor, Mr. Pascal Gatabazi, the president and founder of African New Life Ministries, Dr. Charles Mugisha, and the leadership team of African New Life Ministries. The delegation from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, George, Ray, and John. Heads of schools here present, leaders of government agencies here present, our dear students from 11 schools that piloted the iLead program. Good morning. I am excited. My blood is boiling with excitement. If you could point a microscope in there, I just don't know. I'm not easily at a loss of words. People who are close to me say I talk a lot, but I feel like I'm at a loss of words, really because of the excitement of the journey this far. We have made great headway, and we are grateful to all the partners, the Ministry of Education, the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, African New Life Ministries, who are the implementing partners of this great program, for us to be here together. Before I go ahead of myself, I will just want to say a very big thank you to two categories of people. The first category are the heads of schools. And I'd like, with respect, for every head of school that is here and you're carrying the iLead program, to please stand up. If you're a head of school, just stand up. Audience, if you can give them a louder round of applause than that, that would be, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing us to really have you as our pilot and your students. Thank you for believing in the iLead program. Thank you for opening your schools to us, because without you, we will not be here. The second category of people, and these are really very, very close to my heart and the heart of my team at iLead, are the sponsors, the teachers that are serving alongside the school heads and alongside the students. If you're here and you're a sponsor and you're the iLead coordinator in your respective schools, please stand up. I want the audience to recognize you. Please give them a round of applause. Thank you. These ladies and gentlemen are not paid in the schools to run iLead. They're doing it because they are passionate about it. They have their core responsibilities, but because they have believed in the vision and mission and the goal of the iLead program, they've decided to come alongside the schools and us to make sure that this program runs effectively in the schools. Thank you so much. And last but not least, to every iLead student who is a facilitator. If you're a facilitator, please stand up to your feet. Facilitators. I want a bigger round of applause to these facilitators. Come on. You are the reason for the success of iLead. You have piloted this. You've started from zero, and we really, really appreciate you because you've made iLead happen to your schools. Please give them one more round of applause. They deserve a second hand. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mine is very simple. It's really to take us on a journey. The journey of iLead. Where it started from, I'm really just going to give snippets to where we are now and where we are going in the future. So I'll ask my friend Prince just to guide us through slides so that we can quickly go through this segment. Yeah, next slide until you have all three down there. Very good. Thank you. So the iLead program is a 3-year curriculum. It's a values-based program that was the brainchild of John Maxwell and the Maxwell Leadership Foundation that has really taken values and split them into 3 programs that are run over a spectrum of 3 years. The first one is I Choose. I Choose connects values and leadership. And there are 16 values in I Choose that the students, most students here have only done the first 2 values. And the testimonies here are predominantly from the first 2. And they have about 13 or 14 to go. And the choices there really are to help young people make the right choices and walk the right values so that they can become the leaders that we're all looking to do. Then after that, they will transition in year 2 to the next phase, which is I do, and this is really taking their values or their choices and actioning them out. But again, it's tagged to leadership. And the third year will be iLead, where they take everything they have learned and connect their own influences and the influence amongst their peers to leadership. This is going to be a 3-year journey of 6 to 8 students around the table having a conversation by themselves with minimal supervision from sponsors and teachers, and challenging themselves and encouraging themselves and lifting themselves up and inserting what we call positive peer pressure. When we hear the word peer pressure, we think about the negative one, but there is such a thing as positive peer pressure, where they hold each other accountable to live a life of integrity, accountability, making the right choices, committing to what they do, and being effective leaders in the making. Next slide, please. So, iLead started around 2016, 2017, and these are some of the schools that have onboarded iLead. It was piloted in South America. Paraguay, Guatemala, and Costa Rica are the first 3 countries that are running iLead. 40,000 schools in Guatemala, 2,500 in Paraguay, 179 in Costa Rica. And then there are independent schools, over 89,000 plus, 89 schools plus, individual sponsors in different schools that have taken this program on. Now, beyond South America, the 4th country, Rwanda. And it's the first country in Africa. And I believe as the John Maxwell team gives statistics in the future, Rwanda will probably be there somewhere as the 4th country. Isn't that amazing? So not just schools have been reached, but students have been reached as well. And we have over, next slide please, over 1.4 million students. In fact, the number has risen. This statistic was taken before. Right now, it's over 1.8 million students that have gone through the iLead program in the countries of operation. We have 280,000 students in Paraguay, 51,000 in Costa Rica, and over 77,000 students in independent countries in other nations. And as we speak right now, we have over, no, I'll save that for later. It's coming up in the presentation. I want to tell you how many are going through iLead in Rwanda. So after the I Choose program was rolled out in South America, the Maxwell Leadership Foundation took a focus group to say, what is the impact? How are we doing so far? And they took a focus group of 15 students to ask them certain questions, and they got back 100% results. Yes, the sample space was small, but if it had been broadened, you would not have gotten a very different result from what you got here. And out of the 15 students, 100% of them said that they saw opportunities to apply what they had learned. That's profound. 100% of the students reported that the topics that were discussed in I Choose, which is the first unit or the first year of the iLead program, found it relevant to them. That's a very, very important point. And for me, what really moves my heart is that 100% of the students had increased their leadership ability. And this was reported by all of them. They felt that they had the ability to lead themselves. 93%, having participated in I Choose, which is the first year program, 93% of the students reported that they had impacted their community positively. And this was after going through only the first year of the program. 100% of the students believe that they are better prepared for their future because of I Choose. Now, this is before they do I Do and iLead. 100% of them reported that they had a sense of greater self-awareness. Now, the word today that has become almost trendy in the world is the word mental health. Many are making it fashionable, but it's really eating away at our communities, and the people who are suffering the most are the younger generation. They're going through different mental health challenges, and one of the things they struggle is the area of self-awareness and confusion of self. So part of what the iLead program is coming, as it runs through the students and the different schools, it's going to help increase a sense of self-worth, self-awareness, and self-confidence in the students where it's run. Next slide, please. This is the birth of the journey. 2019, February 18th, this couple right here, Scott and Pamela Pyle, were invited for an event in North Carolina, and our president, His Excellency Paul Kagame, was the chief guest. And they had a conversation with His Excellency regarding the iLead program. Now, Mr. Scott Pyle is an advisor to John Maxwell, and Pamela Pyle just happened to lead the board of Africa New Life in the US. So as fate would have it, they're in one room, and they introduce the John Maxwell programs to His Excellency, the President, and His Excellency said, "Welcome to Rwanda." And now we're here. Next slide. A couple of meetings happened after that. One of the first meetings that happened was that John Maxwell and his team had a dinner with Her Excellency, the Ambassador of Rwanda to the US, and a few of the teams there, just to try and understand the story of Rwanda better and the journey of Rwanda better. And one of the person who tweeted on the dinner is a lady named Annette Bayingana, who is also serving on our National Advisory Council of iLead. She lives in the US, and she was part of this dinner, and she's also a John Maxwell certified team coach. Next slide, please. After that, the CEO, Mr. Mark Cole, visited Rwanda in May of 2019. Again, just as a build-up to the very first conversations to see the country, understand what Rwanda is about, and see how the Maxwell Leadership Foundation will be able to have an entry point into the nation. They had a number of meetings, as you can see there. Fast forward, this is 2019. Fast forward, in 2020, another delegation visited. And this delegation was being led by Mr. George Hoskins. He came in 2020 September with a few leaders from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, and they met key leaders in different spheres in Rwanda. And from there, it built into the birth of the iLead program with the partnership of Africa New Life Ministries. And this was a picture taken in December last year with Honorable Minister of Education, who invited us for a courtesy call. This is Dr. Charles Mugisha in the photo there, the president of Africa New Life Ministries. This is Judith. Judith is my supervisor and the director of partnerships at Africa New Life Ministries. And there's a guy at the corner there. Next slide, please. 3 days after we met Honorable Minister, we had our pre-launch where we invited the school heads into the program, into a dinner, to get to share the story with them and really invite them to buy into the program. So some of you will see yourselves if you are in the room at the Serena, and we're privileged to have most of the school heads that are here. So we kicked off in 2022 as soon as we got the buy-in from the schools. The first thing that we did in January was to train and orient the sponsors. Now, the sponsors are the teachers who represent iLead in the different schools. This was an orientation we did for them. Next slide, please. These are some schools that we went to, orienting the facilitators, introducing iLead to them. This is one of the schools, New Life Christian Academy. The previous one was New Life Leadership Academy. Gashora Girls School. Do we have Gashora Girls in the room, Gashora? All right, just give it up for yourselves, yes. Excella School, we were able to orient Excella School. Next. Green Hills Academy. And did they? Yeah! And Wellspring Academy was also oriented early there. And a few more schools. Now, these are the schools we targeted to start with as a pilot phase because we are really, really starting out. There were 11 schools in total, and the goal was to start with 2,100 schools. Next slide, please. And so far, these are the schools that we were able to onboard. The target was 2,121 schools, By the end of February, we had onboarded 3,042 students that are currently doing the iLead program. Now, the next phase, after these holidays that have just happened, we've just hired a team that is going to represent us in the provinces, and we're starting with these schools that we've established contact with in the different provinces. Already, we have the conversations going with the school heads, and we're excited to have iLead program move outside of Rwanda into the nation. Next slide. The goal of 2022 is to onboard 30 schools and to reach at least 8,000 students in the different provinces. The reason why we are starting modestly is because we are learning this program on the job. But because of the different partnerships that have come on board, we're going to scale and move much faster than perhaps even our target. Next slide. In phase 2, which is next year, we are looking to onboard 85 schools throughout the country. We'll have secondary schools, 60 of them, and 25 TVET schools, and our goal is to reach 21,000 students in 2023. Then 2024, we are looking to onboarding 200 schools for the iLead program nationwide, and we hope to be reaching over 47,000 students by then. I would like to share this quote from the progenitor of the iLead program, Dr. John Maxwell. He says, through iLead's value-based roundtables, we can train tomorrow's leaders and give them a foundation that will allow them to succeed at home and at work when they transition into a skilled labor force. So would like to give a big thank you to John Maxwell and the team. Now, we have a 3-year plan, but this is the scope. This is where we are going. We have over 700,000 students that are currently in secondary school, according to the National Institute of Statistics of Rwanda. We have 18,000 students in TVET schools. We have over 86,000 students in different forms of university, making it a total of 836,000 students, and all of them are eligible candidates for the iLead program. And the commitment from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, African New Life Ministries, and the Ministry of Education is that we are going for these 800,000 or whatever number they represent. Isn't that a good idea? We are going for them, just to help onboard them. And however long it will take, we are committed to walk this journey. I think that's it. Yeah, all right. As I conclude, I would really like to say a very big thank you to our leaders, to our team. Our team is out scattered everywhere, making sure you're comfortable, but to all stakeholders. And my commitment on behalf of the team, the commitment of our leaders, is that we are going to raise the next generation of values-based leaders in Rwanda. God help us. Thank you so much. By the way, before Arthur comes on board back, I'd like to end with a quote here from a young lady called Esther Gatare. Esther Gatare is from Cornerstone Leadership Academy, and I just want to reiterate what she shared in her interview that for me moved me. She says, I have learned that growth comes from one's mindset. We are all born to grow. And growth is not just out of external factors, but just because you're eating well, or living well, or doing the right sports. It is also about making the right decisions to grow. If you make the right choices, it is going to help students to go through the iLead program. If you make the right choices, it is going to help you grow and become the person you want to become in the near future. So I encourage all the students to who are going through the iLead program to give it heart, because it is really life-changing. It will help you in your social lives. It will help you in your mental health. Did you hear that? That was profound. It will help in very many other aspects that I didn't even know needed help. Thank you so much, Esther Gatare. God bless.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please. This was an amazing, insightful moment. And it was a good meal with very amazing information. Now, after every meal, what's the next step? Digestion. Yes, it's true. You need to digest what you've just heard because we don't want to rush information. You need to digest. And digestion, it means the body is working. So you are digesting on your table. I want you to take this moment and just discuss among yourselves what's happening. Amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Mr. Hassan. He's going to be taking us through the discussions that are going to be happening here. Mr. Hassan, the floor is all yours. The mic is yours. The ears are all yours. And I want you to be able to take the audience through the discussions of today. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome him like the star of the day. Amazing.
Thank you very much, Arthur. Yeah, so I am privileged to just moderate a discussion with a few panelists that are representing different stakeholders around the iLead program. And we're just going to take maybe 25 minutes just having a conversation for our benefit. And we're going to discuss under the theme, the contribution of iLead to raising Rwanda's future leaders. The contribution of iLead to raising Rwanda's future leaders. Now I'm going to invite up my panelists. Please, if I call them one by one, please give them a round of applause. And for me, this is perhaps the most distinguished of them all that I'm going to call up first. Miss Ruth Waithara from Wellspring Academy. Please give it up for her. Ruth, come on up. You can do better than that, friends. Welcome, Ruth. So you can take your mask off. That mic is yours. We are privileged to have Mr. Theonest Turatsinze, who is the head of Excella School. Please give it up for Mr. Theonest. And last but not least, we have Mr. John Griffin from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation, who is representing the foundation. Welcome, sir. Can we give him a bigger round of applause? Thank you very much. Now, when the team was planning this panel, it was very well thought out. We needed a school represented by a school head. We needed a student represented as a beneficiary of the iLead program. But also we needed a perspective from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation just to have a conversation around how can we raise Rwanda's future leaders, leveraging iLead as one of the many tools that are out there. Now, I will start with you, John, because you're a guest. About 2 days ago, you and the team had the opportunity to visit Rwanda's genocide memorial as we build up towards the commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi next month. And as you are walking through the halls of the genocide memorial, you and Ray stumbled upon a quote that you have kept on talking about and about that was on one of the, and I will paraphrase the quote there, then ask you the question, John. Somebody was quoted saying that one of the contributing factors to the genocide was that we lost our values. What do you have to say about that? Coming in, helping with this value-based lead, just that entire thought process for you. I knew it was quite emotional. Please share something.
First of all, it's an honor to actually be here and even, wow, you know, to get to see all of you who have come out today. The journey over here to really watch and participate in the launch of this, I expected actually far less because I thought of it as a typical launch. But then going to the memorial and seeing the history, and Ray and I were weeping, and we looked. They probably thought we just lost our whole family or something, but it was very emotional and touching to see the history that you've been through. And then to see that quote as one of the contributing factors of that we've lost our values, but then to hear students, even to hear you when you spoke with us as well, you know, the whole journey of values, we may have lost our values, but the I choose, I do, I lead curriculum allows them to take a journey inside and find their values and find how they live them out. You know, Mr. Pascal, I enjoyed meeting you a few minutes ago, and I was explaining to him that, you know, with the backdrop of what we've gotten to experience and learn about your history, the decision and today's launch is going to change the landscape and the history, I believe, of not only Rwanda, but of the whole continent of Africa. And it truly starts here. I believe, if I recognize you from the video, you're the one who quoted University of Texas, which I spent 30 years in Austin. And, you know, and so, yeah, what starts here will definitely change the world.
Wow, thank you very much. Yeah, one or two people were clapping. Please go ahead. Thank you. Yeah. So, Mr. Theonest, we call him Mr. Theo. He's one of my favorite school heads, and I will tell you why. Your model of education is just mind-blowing. When you visit Excella School, right from the get, into the campus, on almost every wall, every door, they have put leadership quotes all over the place. They quote Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi. This is a man that has embodied leadership. He actually personally takes a class at Excella School on soft skills and leadership development. Isn't that amazing? Busy as he is. And I felt that we needed to hear your perspective, not just as a school head, but also as somebody who really lives and breathes leadership and sees leadership for the next generation, even as you implement it in your own school. So, Mr. Theo, please tell us a bit more about your philosophy of leadership in education.
Thank you, Pastor Hassan. What a nice way to start. Gentleman next, what's your name again? John, pleasure to meet you. University of Texas, I quoted in the video. In the university, the slogan is, what starts here changes the world. I felt very envious. I could have lifted it and put it in our school, but then plagiarism. So, Pastor Hassan, what starts here will indeed change the world. But to answer your question, look, I started teaching when I was a little boy, teaching my little siblings. And it's amazing that the thing that move mountains is not necessarily the traditional way of going to the classroom. My little brother, when I was in high school, I never had a chance to go to home because I couldn't afford the transport back home. But I went home once a year, and I met him, and I said, oh, how's it going? He was thinking standard 2, and he said, he kept quiet. Then I said, what's your best subject? He keeps quiet. Is it English? And he says, well, English, no. English has no formula. And I knew there was a scientist in him because he said, there's no formula in English. And that's not character education, but, you know, peeping into the mind. That's like peeping into the mind. When I was in college, I took it up on my task. I went home, deep in the village. I asked for a job in the local primary school, and I did teach. And this boy was the best in the whole district, plus other friends of his I used to teach. And that is the moment it dawned on me that I was meant to be actually a teacher. But guess what? I was pursuing the university. I was doing the Bachelor of Laws. And after graduation, I quit. I said, the calling is not this. And part of the quitting was to do is, I looked ahead and I said, because there was career guidance, I thought I was in the wrong place. If I go into practice, I know somebody will come in and say, I killed someone, I stole money, and you need to represent me. And because I need money, I'll do that. I felt that I was going to be compromised. If I should go into government, I might still be compromised. And so I quit and went to education, and people said, you must be crazy. How can you leave the law school and go into, but look, that was God's design. Because when I started Excella, which is my school, the burden was on me. Looking back to a school I went through in Uganda, reckoned to be, it was the first school to be established in Uganda. Namiryango College was established in 1902, well over 100 years now. Looking back, it is the thing that informed me, said, look, everyone in that school passed because they were selected. Distinctions everyone got. But then there were little hooligans being groomed to be hooligans when they grew up. Because there was no character education, yeah? This, just to give you a glimpse of how bad it was. It was an all boys school, and there was a shopping center. Boys would contribute money, go buy prostitutes, bring them to the dormitories, and have their turns. I never did that. I survived that. How I survived it, I don't know. God's blessing. Now, looking back, I said, is that a school? Everyone gets the grades. But look, there is no education there. And here, there is a confusion between, we call it, sir, it's called the Ministry of Education, right? It's not the Ministry of Learning. No, it's the Ministry of Education. And so, I took it a burden on me. I never worry about academics in my school, no. Academics, obviously, if you're gifted in maths, you do well. If you're gifted in history, you do well. But if you have that missing, which is what I missed, I refused to get to miss it because in my background, my mom was very strict and she brought me well. The values were there in the home, and that's what sustained me through. When I saw little hooligans in that school, I refused. I said, no. So anyway, just get back on track. And so at Excella, from inception, I have a course called Life Skills. Life Skills is when you project stuff over there, talk less, let them feel it. Let me, as I want, give just a glimpse. The most recent I shared with Pastor Hassan, when the iLead got on board, I had finished a module on leadership. And let me just take you quickly through that. So you see, because it's hands-on, you talk less and the students feel more. So I projected Adolf Hitler on screen. Then I projected Idi Amin of Uganda because I was raised and grew up in Uganda. And then I projected Fred Gisad Wijema and our President Paul Kagame. Then I projected as well Abana Nyanje. These are the kids from a secondary school in Nyanje. The infiltrators from Congo came in, and in the evening they said, Tutsis one side, Hutus the other side. The kids refused. They said, we're going to kill you. He said, go ahead and kill us. They refused. They refused to be separated along ethnic, which is divisionism. And then I challenged my students, and I say, so, who is the leader there? Abana Nyanje, the second students in Nyanje refused to be, Adolf Hitler who killed 5 million Jews. And obviously, it's very simple, they will tell you. The leader is Abana Nyanje. How old were they? 12, 13, 14, 15, no more than 18. And I said, that's leadership.
Wow.
Yeah, I could stop there. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing stories there. And talking about drawing reference to Abana Nyanje who are 13, 14, 15. We have a 14-year-old here who is on our panel, my friend Ruth from Wellspring Academy. Please give it up for Ruth. So Ruth, I know that as the Academy, you've only taken perhaps 2 lessons, choices and growth. Your round table, how many more? Just those 2? Okay, so just speak a mic there. I want to ask you a question. So choices and growth, which one of the 2 you feel impacted you the most?
Okay, that's a bit of a hard one, but If I'm to pick one, I think choices, because it was the first one. And in choices, most of the stuff in it we already knew. Choices give us freedom. They give us the ability to do whatever we want with our lives. But it impacted me most with the realization that not making a choice is a choice. You can't escape choices. And I think that's the one thing that stuck with everybody in my group, that not making a choice is a choice. You're the one that picks to not make a choice when you're given the choices. And so we shouldn't complain of the consequences of something and say, oh, I had no choice. You had a choice, but you chose not to make a choice. It's a very interesting topic, and we actually took 2 weeks to uncover that topic, because the first week was introduction, all that. Second week is when we actually got to talk about it, and as we continued talking about it, it came out that, yeah, most times, for some reason, we end up making the choice of not making a choice instead of making the choice, thinking, oh, I have my parents, they're gonna make the choice for me. That is the choice that you made. So there's no excuse to not making a choice. And I think that is the one thing that has really stuck with me. And of course, I'm a person who does not enjoy when people make my choices for me, because sometimes I don't agree with those choices, and that is me. But I think that's something that should reflect in each of us. We should make our choices and not always go with the choice of not making a choice, because sometimes the choice of not making a choice has more serious consequences than what would have happened if you actually made the choice.
Wow. Yeah. I'll ask you a follow-up question, because I feel there's a lot of wisdom oozing out of you around growth. Is there anything that you feel we need to, you could share with us around the lesson of growth that you attended with the group?
So growth was the second lesson in in the I Choose program, for those who have the books. And it says that I remember a quote in that book that says, if you know me from a year ago, then you don't know me at all. Which has stuck by me ever since then. Is, if you know me from a year ago, you don't know me at all. Because in that year, I've not only grown physically, you'll probably just know me. You will know my name. You won't know the actual me. Personally, in the last year, I was not this. This was not Ruth. And growth is not just external. A lot of times, even as teens, we focus on so much of building our external bodies and building our physical bodies, which also quite a few schools focus on, which I'm not saying is wrong, but oftentimes we forget to build our inner bodies. By our inner bodies, I mean our values. We forget to build those. We forget to build the skills that are going to help us in life beyond just the quadratic formula in math or astrophysics and whatever not you're going to go and study. We forget that, yes, these are going to help us. And I'm not saying that they're not going to help us, but you can't use those without building your inner values, like commitment and having a positive attitude and valuing people and being nice to people. And I think that's one thing that everybody should take. Don't just focus on growing externally, but take time to grow internally. And I think also as a Christian school where we study about the Bible, that's something that was already there, where our inner bodies also include our faith. So take time to not just grow your outer bodies, not just in school, out of school, go home, exercise, sleep, eat healthy, but take time to actually look inside yourself and grow your inner self, your values, because you can't stay stagnant. This world is ever changing. If you stay stagnant, it's not gonna work out. You can't be stagnant in this world. So make sure you're growing internally. And that's something I have purpose to do ever since we finished that lesson.
Wow, and that is just lesson 2. That is just lesson 2 of the first unit. The first unit has 4 lessons. It has choices, it has growth, it has students, attitude, and the last one, commitment. There you go. There you go. Thank you so much, Ruth. John, sitting here, listening to Ruth, watching the video, the school visits that you did, please take us through, has this met your expectation in the sense that you sat down, did research as a foundation to come up with these amazing values, and now you're seeing their impact? Speak into that entire philosophy, and what do you think has happened to you and the team in terms of testimonials listening to Ruth?
Personally, I think I'd prefer to hear more from Ruth. That is a leader. Yeah. You know, there are many, I meet people all over the world, and 90% of the people that I've met do not have the clarity that Ruth just articulated of understanding the responsibility, the personal responsibility of choices, and growing on the inside, and understanding that, you know, if we're bigger on the outside, that just leads to pride and being bankrupt on the inside. But growing on the inside is what makes you a bigger player in this world. And I'm impressed. And what Ruth has just articulated, we've heard countless number of times on this trip here. During the break, I was most excited to go over and take a selfie with the 2 students who spoke this morning. You all are my heroes. I got to go around, and Ray and George and myself, to hear just with 2 weeks what the students are able to articulate with such clarity. And it's one thing to have them, you know, prepare something and say it as if it were a test or a speech. And what I love, even though they read this morning, you could tell that it was heartfelt. And we heard constantly, time and time again, of students articulating that way. One of the most profound moments, though, for me, Hassan, was at the academy they called themselves, and you're here. I see the orange shirts back there.
Agahozo Shalom.
Yes.
Youth Village. Please raise
Where
your hand
are
up
you?
for us. There
Yes.
you go. Amazing leaders in the making there. Yeah.
And speaking with the students there who they themselves were calling themselves vulnerable. And I was asking, what does that mean? And to hear what the definition of that, but then to hear them say, I get to write a new story. My story tomorrow is not vulnerable because I have the choice to grow today. That they inspired me.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a follow-up question, but I'll let you catch your breath first, and then we'll, yeah. So, Mr. Teo, you are one of countless heads of schools, some represented in this room, others we are yet to create relationships with. As I ask my final round of questions, what would you share from the heart as a practitioner of leadership education, as one who opened up the door for the iLead program? What would you share to the school heads that we are yet to develop relationships with regarding taking on iLead and the values that it creates, given that for so many years you've been leading with such values?
Thank you so much. Now, as I'm reflecting on the ARIA presentation, I thought I need to correct the record. Because part of the leadership is contextualizing idea that people present. I said leaders, there was Adolf Hitler, there was Abadabi Nyanji, there was our president, there is Rudachemwa, and I said the leaders are Abadabi Nyanji. Somebody will misinterpret that I may. So, I was just trying to give you the extreme examples. But in between, obviously, our president, leaders are people who get out of their comfort zone. Yeah, you least expect they're so comfortable, you wonder why they should get out of their comfort zone. You know, our president, when the States was comfortable, Rudachemwa was a major general, he was doing pretty well, financially, glamour and all of that. So, but you know, the best example here was the least you expected. Little kids of 15. But in between, of course, those are great leaders. Most of us will not be here without them. So, courtesy of their sacrifice, getting out of their comfort zone. Back on track. So, Pastor Hassan, it's like stating the obvious.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's like stating the obvious. Surely. You listen to this little kid here saying that. It's a big, great opportunity for her. No one would get to know her. Right, she's here. Yeah? If she was an opportunity for a scholarship, she'll get it. She'll definitely get it. So it's a good forum. Yeah. So to me, it's too obvious to even go into laboring the point. But I just want to digress a bit and like setting my own question.
Please.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, look, sitting back, because I've been at it for a while, and then I sit back and I say, well, indeed, to borrow their slogan, what is starting here is going to change our world here, and Africa, if you like, and maybe their world. But even last time I mentioned it, I can only share my experience because I've been at it, and that's somebody listened to it, because the doubting Thomases are out many, right? And look, my experience has been, because you see you're operating mindset, the mindset is that, you know, academics, science, history, geography, blah, blah, all that stuff. The rest is wasting time. The biggest criticism in our school is that we are not serious-minded. Can you imagine? Because you have time for such kind of stuff. Now, be sure about it. We need to, the Minister of Education is here, sir. It's a proposal. I started off like you started, but somewhere, some students will dodge what I'm going to present. Yeah.
They would dodge your class?
Yeah. Because you see, leaders are not very many in this world. Yeah. But you see, we need everyone to be a leader, because you never know the guy who's going to be our next president. Because that's the one who's going to make the decision whether this country is going to be destroyed or not. You see, genocide, like you mentioned. Yeah. It was just a few people who designed it, and the rest executed. So how can you be sure it's going to be a next president? And so, midway, I changed my strategy, and I made sure that it's, you see, they say what's not examined, at least in the African system, what's not examined is not important. So along the way, please make sure that this is examined. Yes, yeah. It's examined. Yes, it's taught and examined. That's point number one. Number two, that's going the extra mile. Because you have the forum, I say our president was involved, make sure, because somebody can get even 90%. You see, I like a quote which say, they would define integrity, that it is what you do when nobody's watching and what you say when nobody's listening. Where nobody means somebody of influence over you. Your mom, your dad, your pastor, your God. God will listen to you, but you don't think he's listening. And the next proposal would be, check it out. Do due diligence before you make a guy like this one to be an opinion leader in our ministry. You got it? And because we've got this, a girl like this, she can talk like that, but the devil in her could be alive. Oh yes. And if you check what she does, could be contrary to what she's saying. And so when you recruit people, that's when you change. Otherwise, this could be lip service. You can talk all this, you won't percolate into mind shift. Yes. Somebody will say all this, you're smart, you can recite all this stuff, you can present it, all this, but deep down, how many pastors fornicate? but they hold the pulpit. Every Sunday they are pastors. So if you start this, pouring money to make sure that the shift is that when Pastor Hassad wants to be your Minister of Education, carry out due diligence. And when you hold him accountable, you say you can't be a minister because, check it out there. I know it can be subjective, it can be difficult, but once these young people know that what you do, like you said, how did you put it? That even if you choose not to make a decision, you made a decision. Choice. Yes. So what you choose now will follow you 20 years from now. If we have it in our system, everyone will be very careful. And you have the forum.
Yep.
New Life Ministry. You have the stage. If you can put it to our president, and we can be held accountable 20 years from now, when this guy, you're from Kenya? Yes. Yes, from Kenya. Yes, Kenya to hold you accountable. You what? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Let's give it up for Mr. Teo. Thank you so much. Thank you. Before I invite Ruth to share her parting shots, I would like to ask John to speak in closing in two ways. One is talk a little bit about the process, because I have realized that even 2 lessons in, the impact we have seen is because of the peer-to-peer process. And I feel like this is according to me, I could be wrong, this is the common denominator, the ability for students to sit by themselves. Tell us a bit about the process, and as you close, any words of encouragement that you would give us here at the launch, please feel free to share.
The process is very intentional. We do, so as Director of Global Programs, I have the opportunity of overseeing not only youth, but adult programs and leadership programs that use this same format. And the format is laid out in a way that, if you think about this quote, a gentleman in the States is named Andy Stanley, and he said, "Direction, not intention, determines destination." Direction, not intention, determines destination. And this process is not to give students or adults or anyone who goes through a program like this good intentions. It's to begin to get them to set out in a new direction based on what they've internalized and they've learned. And so if you think about because many of you have not been exposed to this process yet, but when they go through a value and they begin to listen to a core principle around that value, we're not telling them what to think. What we're asking them is, what do you think about that? And how well do you live out that value today on a scale of 1 to 10? So it gives them a baseline today to understand, what is this value? How am I living it out the way that I understand it today? And then a very intentional question after that is, what would be the benefits of improving the way I live out that value? And then they're asked, who is somebody that I know that really lives out that value well? And then the magic question is, what are you going to do to improve your score? And if you think about in a peer-to-peer, as they're sitting around the table and they're hearing what each other are saying and what each other are thinking, they no longer assume that they each believe or think about it the exact same way. They're getting to hear a lot of different perspectives, and from that, that's where growth comes from. From that, that's where understanding comes from and perspective. And they have a common understanding, and now they begin to have common unity that builds community. And so the process is very intentional, that when we learn and live good values, we can change the world. And in the book that John Maxwell wrote that's called Change Your World, that talks about values, as a matter of fact, George's cousin co-wrote that book with John Maxwell. And what his cousin Rob Hoskins said is, you know, vision without action is just a dream, but action without values is a nightmare.
Wow.
Yes. Vision without action is just a dream, but action without values is a nightmare. And I don't want to begin to understand everything about your history with the genocide, but you think about actions without values can be a nightmare, will be a nightmare. And when students and young people and even adults, but this is the focus of students, when we learn and live good values and the living those out with good actions are creating far beyond anything that any of us could ever imagine or dream. That's the process. Now, what I want to encourage you is embrace the process. You know, John Maxwell talks about in one of his books, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, the law of process. And he says that leadership develops daily, not in a day. This process is not microwaved. This process is a daily journey, and you're not going to get it right. And the people who've heard me talk this week, you would have heard me say, we are all perfectly imperfect people. And in being and embracing and understanding that we're perfectly imperfect, we're going to fail sometimes. We're not going to live up to the values today, but through reflection and change, we will continue to take something that is perfectly imperfect and begin to improve that, never to perfection, but to something better than we are today, just as Ruth said, so that a year from now, we won't even recognize ourselves.
Thank you very, very much, John. Yes, give it up. So as we close the panel session, first of all, let me say this, Ruth. I am exceedingly proud of you. And I know I speak for everyone in the room, because you and very many students represent hope for our future as we raise the next generation of leaders. Now, our mandate as iLead is to take the iLead program into the whole country, to teenagers like yourself. If you would speak from the heart, what advice would you give teenagers in encouraging them to embrace the iLead program just like you've gone through it? Because we are going into the provinces and into the nation. In closing, what encouragement would you give?
Thank you very much. And I think there's a lot you can possibly tell them, because, of course, there's a lot of reassurance they would need as teenagers who overthink everything. But if I was to give them one piece of advice, was give it time. Because leadership and the iLead program is, I take it more like a tree. A tree, you get a small seedling. And over time, in the right conditions, if you take care of it, it's gonna continue growing. Unless you cut it down, even if it grows to 1,000 years, it's still gonna continue growing. The process never stops. So long as photosynthesis is going on, and as long as every normal thing is going on, and it's not diseased, it's gonna continue growing. And that's the same with this. Give it time. You're not gonna get it right on the first try. It's not like instant noodles. Hot water, noodles, eat. No, it doesn't work like that. You're not gonna get it right on the first try. You're gonna have to give it time. Over time, you're gonna learn to value the things that you're learning. Over time, as you progress, you're gonna learn how to apply these things in daily life. And most of the stuff that at least I have seen in the I Choose, it's not stuff, these values are not stuff that is necessarily new. Commitment, attitude, growth, choices, these are things that our parents have instilled in us. These values begin at home. But for anybody out there, you need to realize that though these are stuff you already know, iLead basically gives you a way to apply these in real life and at the same time become a great leader. iLead does not bring in stuff you don't already know. It basically uses the values you've had, the values that you've already known, but shows them, hey, this is not just the only way you can do this. You can do it, you can use this in this other aspect, in the form of leading other people. And it's not gonna happen like at the snap of a finger, good. Everybody's all hyped, we're all gonna attend, we're all gonna do this, we're all gonna do that. Finish, graduate, get out of here. No. If that's what you expect, I'm so sorry, but that's not what you're gonna get. That's not what's gonna happen. But over time, you're gonna grow and learn to value it. You're gonna grow and learn how to navigate it and how to not just do this inside the round table, but how to reflect it in your daily lives. And if you give it the time, if you give it the energy, if you give it the effort, you can ask those who will be around you. You may not notice it yourself, by the way, but if you ask the people around you, if you're going to ask, let's say, your teachers or your parents, they're going to notice. You may not notice the change inside yourself, but there will always be somebody else that will notice. So give it time. It's not going to happen instantly.
Give it time. What a way to close. Thank you so much, Ruth. I would like to thank my panel as we rise up. Thank you so much, Mr. Teones, for representing the school heads. Thank you, John. And thank you, Ruth Waithara, for an amazing, amazing panel session. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. It's not fair to go next after Ruth. I think, you remember when I said you are blessed and the first best decision you've made today is to come here? This is why. I'll be honest with you, for those of you who are, in the 1990s going back, did you ever get such an opportunity? What discussions were you having? Where is the jerry can? I'm the one fetching water today. Who's washing utensils? I washed them yesterday, it's your turn. Those are the conversations we had home. You guys are talking about leadership. Hey! I'm very surprised. At your age, Nintendo had just come in. My job was to know which tape to take to my neighbor. I am so mad at my past, but I'm proud of the future. I think this is a very beautiful testimony here. We've seen how life is going to change for us. And one thing I've seen and I've noticed, everything that I've been shared here, I just kept thinking, at the end of the day, we are just like these devices. The only difference is the operating system here can't be adjusted by you. We have our own operating systems here, and we have the liberty and access to upgrade it. So are you willing to join iLead Rwanda program so that you can have 2.0 operating system of your mind? That's what I'm talking about. We are here to skill, equip, and see results. As Ruth just mentioned it, time, put in the work, and the results will be seen by your neighbors. I like that. Now, I'm not going to take on much because, we've really had it. We have our partners. We have different partners here that are going to be giving us some remarks. But for now, allow me to welcome iLead National English. I'm running below minimum balance. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the iLead National Advisory Council representative, Mr. Fred Katangwa, and we are very, very honored to have you here. We've heard a lot about the program. Now we want to hear from the leadership. What do we have and where are we going from here? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our dear guest of honor, distinguished guests, educators in the house, all the learners, and parents if present. Good morning to all of you. Yeah, my name is Fred Isaac Katagwa, and I am the Executive Director of African New Life Ministries here in Rwanda, a ministry that is serving many, and I have been honored to serve and to lead for the last 20 years. And I'm very excited because the very first day when His Excellency was meeting the team, I was there. The very first time when we met here at the Marriott, talking about John Maxwell Foundation coming into Rwanda, I was there. And our very own pre-launch, I was present, and it was a great joy to sit with the many heads of schools and talking about it and taking the iLead round table, one of its kind, ourselves. What a privilege. And today, I am not here on behalf of African New Life. I stand before you on behalf of the council, the National Advisory Council, and I want to thank Reverend Dr. Charles and the whole team of iLead for calling us on board to come alongside. I love talking. I'm an educator and definitely history, and so I can talk. But I just want to use a few words, first of all, on behalf of my team that will be introduced. You hear some more. I don't know whether it's my responsibility to introduce them now, but on their behalf, I want to affirm our commitment to serve. And probably you're wondering, to serve in which areas? We are committed to represent iLead in all our areas of influence. We are committed to promote and advocate that this program enters in every school in this country. We commit to be good ambassadors, because this comes up at a time when it's real needed. I don't know why, maybe because I'm a teacher, whenever I hear the voice of the little ones, tears drop. Ruth, I could not stop crying. Thank you very much for those remarks. And hearing the voices of those on the screen, including my own, my firstborn, I cried again and again. What should I say to our dear students? Dear students, there is all this acquisition and accumulation of information. That's awesome. But acquiring all that information, if it cannot transform you, it's of no use. Dear students, I pray that the education that you are getting will transform you. It will transform all of us who are here. By the way, it is my belief that education should not be just for informing, but for transformation. I've said that many more times on assemblies. We want to see transformation happening. Dear students, I know it is awesome to spectate and hear the accent and hear the tone but I want to call upon you to participate. Until you participate, it will not really have an impact on you. You need to participate. Be involved. Be involved. Be involved. Once more to our dear students, it is a journey that you've started on. It is just now months. And on this journey, it is going to require discipline. It requires commitment. And I want to say, it is not okay just to start, but to finish. You never started just for the sake of starting. I want to suggest, make it a point to finish. Just in case you end up changing school and there's no iLead in another school where you go, just find out where African New Life is. We can help you to find a way of continuing. Just come over. iLead has an office at our campus. We will help you to continue, but finish, and finish very well. And to all of us present, you all know, mu Kinyarwanda, baravuga cyangwa turavuga ngo igiti kigororwa kikiri gito. When that a tree is, to straighten it, you need to bend it when it's still young, when it's still little, when it's still young. But if you wait for it to grow, then as you try to bend it, it will break. To you students and to all of us who are here, we want to make sure that this tree is growing steadily and straight. And not just up there, but I love it that it's also going deep. Deep, because the real you is inside you. So we are committed to strengthening and helping our country and our children to be better, to be the best version of themselves. The other day I was on TV, KC2, and I'm trying to explain to many of you students about your self-worth. You are not what they say you are. Okay? There is the way you see yourself and the way others see you. But let me tell you, there's a creator who formed you for purpose. And that creator has a plan for you. And this plan is to give you a hope and to give you a future. Ladies and gentlemen, I was hearing all the students, and in my spirit, there was some bouncing in there that in Rwanda, we have a future. We have a future. Yes, our past is not the best. The history is not the best. But we're not going to stay into the history. We have a future. We have a future. We have a future. And the future is bright. Once again, before I sit, may I say to the team with whom we are leading, we are called upon to be true ambassadors, and let us do so and make sure that this value-based program is not just in the city. Let the south, let the north, let the west, let the east of Rwanda enjoy this and get the values that are highly needed now. We are blessed to belong to a country that values values. At many occasions I've heard our president and all our leaders, they are about values. You are of Itorero, right? And some students are coming from the west, they get here, they're taken to Itorero. We are not going to wait for that time. We are starting now where you are. And when you go to Itorero, we'll be sharing ideas and views and make sure that it is sinking deep. Friends, it is possible. And today is very historical. It is very historical in the sense that we stand here to launch and let the ball roll. To the representative of John Maxwell, on behalf of the council, we want to say thank you. Thank you. Because as a parent, if you asked me to pay more tuition for my daughter to get this, I will do whatever it takes. But you've given us the tools, you've given us the material. There is an amazing stuff that is coming to our schools. I have watched a table in our schools, and it's amazing to see voices come out and ideas come out, and it is just the beginning. Dear students, it is the beginning, but you have to finish and participate. And to all of us all, we are willing to walk this journey. Thank you. May the good God bless you all.
Thank you very much, and that was a good way to end it. It starts now, it starts today, and those are really, really good words that we got to hear. We are blessed to be in a country that values values. That's a good thing to hear, to be honest, for sure. Now, we've had some partners here. We had African New Life Ministries as the hand that is implementing this. And we are blessed to have Pastor Charles Mugisha with us here. I think even if you are not on the program, I wouldn't let you go without saying anything, even if you are not on the program. So just know, anytime we meet at an event and you are not on the program, start writing your speech. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the founder and president of African New Life Ministries on the stage, Pastor Charles Mugisha. Thank you.
Wow, thank you everybody. It's a beautiful day to be here launching iLead in Rwanda. First of all, I want to thank our guest of honor, Mr. Pascal Gatabazi, who is the Chief Technical Advisor of the Minister of Education, representing the Honorable Minister of Education today. You're welcome. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the Maxwell Leadership Foundation team, George, John, and Ray. You are amazing men. I've had the opportunity of spending these last few days with you. I wish I knew you a few years ago. But I also want to thank you for your creativity, for all the work you've put in for the last how many years with the foundation to create this program and a number of other programs, including the books we've donated to the Kigali Library and the ACT Library. I also want to ask you to take back our thanks to your team, to your donors, to the partners, for your great generosity. To be able to develop such an excellent program costs a lot of money, and you have 100% footed the cost of doing this. We are grateful to you. Thank you. Our prayer is that one day we'll also have an opportunity to do the same for others. I want to thank all the stakeholders from the government, non-profit organizations, members of the iLead National Advisory Council, heads of partner schools, NLM directors and board members of African New Life Ministries, the iLead team. Will you please stand up? The iLead team led by Hassan, Pastor Hassan. Amen. Thank you very much. I'll also ask Judith, our resource mobilizer, to stand up for leading on this. Now, our dear students, you are the reason we are here today. You are welcome. You are the leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome all of you to this very important ceremony of celebrating the launch of iLead in Rwanda, partnership that was formed between African New Life and the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. I want in a very special way to thank my wife for allowing me to take on another program. Because we had so many conversations. Should we take on something new? We have so much going on locally and in the US and a lot of travels. Should we take on something else? And I kept meditating and thinking about this choice. I'm glad we made a good choice. And for me, I felt like this is not going to be a burden to African New Life. This is not a burden on our community. This is something which will improve our entire community, and iLead is exactly doing that. The program that he started 2021 with a number of conversations, like I've said, but much more with a great friend of mine, Scott, and his wife, Pam. They met the president in the US, told him about the program, and man, thank God for our president. Every time he sees something good, he wants it for his own. And we are here because of him. We are here because he went to North Carolina and went to Charlotte and heard about the program, and he said, I want this for my own people. So thank you very much, our president, in your absence. For some of you who don't know African New Life Ministries, we've been in Rwanda now for about 20 years. I founded African New Life Ministries when I was a student in the US, just like a number of you one day will go to America and be students. And I was studying theology and management. And I remember in two of my management classes, clearly workshop management and program development. For a period of one semester, I developed an organizational plan. And out of that organizational plan, today we have what we call African New Life Ministries, which is over 11,000 sponsored children to attend the schools in Rwanda. Over 11,000 students in various schools. 500 of those are now in universities, attending universities. Because I'm a faith person, we planted multiple churches. We've started a university, Africa College of Theology. We run the Dream Medical Hospital in Kichichiro, and a number of other programs all over the nation. And out of that program, we created a platform. And that platform, from accounting to leadership to management to the network, has given us the opportunity to be able to host iLead. And I want to thank the team from the US to be able to recognize that we have what it takes to provide leadership for iLead and a number of other Maxwell Foundation programs. I want to give you a few things that have actually happened in the last, since we signed the memorandum of understanding with the Minister of Education last week. That's beautiful. Now, I remember telling Hassan when I looked at the memorandum of understanding, putting on the signatures, it's like I was nearly trembling, because this is a sacred responsibility. Leadership is a sacred responsibility. It is standing on a holy ground to say yes to an awesome responsibility of raising up the next generation of leaders in this country. In fact, while I was seated there, Dr. Peace from DMC, she said, we are going to have a different breed of leaders in this country. And they are right here in this room. And as I lead, we have the opportunity to invest in the future Rwanda right now. This is the time for Rwanda. This is the time for you younger people to shine. Thank God you were born in this day and in a time like this. A friend of mine said, Rwanda may not have gold, Rwanda may not have silver to export and all these expensive minerals, but we are going to export leaders all over the world. So you are our greatest export commodity, and we are excited as a lead to be investors in what God is doing. I want to thank you once again for making the decision to be here with us to launch iLead. This is a historical moment in the Republic of Rwanda where we stand. God bless you.
We are still discovering how blessed we are. As Pastor Charles Mugisha was speaking, I noticed the confidence in the logo. I don't know if you guys have seen it. The I, it's like a person swearing like, I do, I lead, I choose. And there is a lot going on with that guy there, and it's just beautiful. And I think you guys are so blessed, because I don't want to come on logos we had back in the days. Now, we've heard from partners, we've heard from students, from school leaders. I think it's high time we get to hear from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. And Mr. George, I think, is the right person to really help us give the remarks on behalf of the Maxwell Leadership Foundation as a representative. So again, as you know, we are welcoming everyone here on stage as a what? As the star of the day. I love that, because confidence starts with the first step when you go on that stage. It's from experience. If you ever walk on this stage and no one is talking, you will suffer. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome our representative from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation here, who's going to give us the remarks that he prepared for us. The stage is all yours. Thank you very much. Like a celebrity again, and our star of the day. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing.
Great to be with you all this morning. Such an incredible group of students here. Loved hearing your testimonies. I want to thank our honored guest, Mr. Pascal. Thank you for all that you've done to make this possible. Pastor Charles, thank you for all you've done. All of the government officials and dignitaries here in the room, thank you for your support and all of your hard work. Principals, leaders, facilitators, young people, it is such an honor and such a privilege to be here with you. And I thank you for being here this morning. I was asked to talk about why we chose Rwanda to come. And there's really three reasons, because some of you may or may not know this, we have a lot of countries that ask us to come. In fact, there's a waiting list of about 30 countries right now that have asked the foundation to come. And we love and we appreciate and we're grateful, and you have such an amazing president, and we're grateful that he gave us an invitation. But we've got about 30 other presidents that have given us invitations as well. So why Rwanda? Because we pick about one nation every 2 years to go to. And I have to say this, we didn't know. We weren't sure about Rwanda. So like our panel members said, we did due diligence. We made a few trips. We met with many people. And for us, we need to know that, number one, they really mean it when they invite us. Because some people just invite you because they heard about it, they think, oh, well, let's just invite them. There's nothing to lose, right? We needed to know that it was real. And when we came and we met with the government officials and we met with the people, it was real. It was very real. And then the other thing is, we have to have the right partner. And we looked, and we looked. And it's interesting because the first people that we met were Africa New Life. But they weren't sure, we weren't sure, both organizations had a lot going on. Did we want to found an organization here? Did we want to partner with another organization? Oh, for about a year, we kind of contemplated this. And we came to the conclusion, both of us, that Africa New Life was the perfect partner. Thank you, Pastor Charles. But the most important thing was this: is it the right time? So my first trip to Rwanda was September 2020, and maybe that was the wrong time to come to Rwanda. Because I had a very good relationship with the Radisson Hotel because I wasn't allowed to leave the Radisson Hotel. But we had all, I think it was the Radisson, we had all of the meetings there, and people came, and everybody got COVID tests 3 times a day. And the interesting was they didn't have the rapid test then so much, so you take 2 tests a day, but you didn't get them until 2 days later, so it was interesting, but anyway. But the people we met with were so amazing. And over again, what we began to hear was that coming out of genocide, the generation had a very clear and vision given by your president of values, of direction, and it was very clear to everybody in that generation. But this generation, the generation of Ruth, things were not so clear. There are a lot of questions. Rwanda has prosperity now. They have infrastructure. They have civil society. They have law and order. Things are good. What is that challenge? What is that thing that is going to keep this generation rooted so that the country can go forward to the next level? And as we begin to talk to people, we begin to hear that Rwandans were feeling there is a gap, a values gap. And so we begin to do research and compile iLead for Rwanda. And we feel, without any doubt at all, that Ruth's generation is the generation that is going to take Rwanda to that next level. I salute you, Ruth. You're an incredible young lady. When I leave here, I'm going to Poland because there's this little problem called Ukraine war. And there's about 2 million people that are in Poland now because they've been displaced, and we're going to go there and have some time with some partners. But before I do that, I want to sit down with you, and I want you to give me some advice on what I should do, because I think you're probably the smartest person in this room, and I want to get your advice. We believe it is the right time. We believe that I'm a very future-looking person. So I love that this is our launch. And quite frankly, in my mind, I'm already gone. Because I'm thinking about Rwanda 5 years from now. I'm thinking about Rwanda 10 years from now. And with what you guys are all doing already, and with iLead, I believe this generation, Ruth's generation, can make Rwanda the most prosperous country in Africa, the most values-based country in Africa. You can be, the Bible talks about a city on a hill, a city that is light to the world. I believe that Ruth's generation can make Rwanda the light of Africa. And that's what I see. That's the future. I just thank every single one of you. I'm so just touched and honored that we can be a part of it, and that you've made us feel, our team, feel like we're at home. And that's hard, really. I've been to maybe 70 nations. And of those 70 nations, I can tell you that Rwanda is one of my most favorite nations to me. I appreciate each one of you. I can't wait for next year. I can't wait for the year after. I'm just thinking about all of those students. I did want to share something with you. Two things. One, thank you, Assam, for giving the last statistic. But I want to share what the current statistic is. So right now in iLead, there are 2,136,331 children in the program. I also wanted to share, and I'm just going to do this for like 2 minutes, but we have a lot of values in the iLead program. And I have a favorite value. Maybe you're not supposed to have a favorite value. Maybe all the values are supposed to be equal. But I have a favorite value, and I want to share with you what my favorite value is. My favorite value is valuing every person. Valuing every person. And you measure that value. I'm a measurement guy. I think if you care about something, you measure it. If you don't care about it, you don't measure it. So how do you measure that you value every person? You measure how you value if you value every person, how you value every person, by whether or not you can honestly say, I'm treating that person with the love, with the respect, with the honor, the way I would want to be treated. If you can't say that, you're really not valuing them. Or you're valuing a little less than they deserve. Because everybody deserves to be valued the way that you want to be valued. And if you master that value of valuing every person, other values are very easy. If you really value people, you'll be a man of integrity or a woman of integrity. Because if you're not, you're taking something from somebody else. You're not going to do that from somebody you highly value. There's so much that flows from it. So that's my favorite value. And I don't know, maybe you're supposed to, maybe you're not, but I like to do things sometimes that I'm not supposed to do. But I encourage you guys, as you go through the program, focus, figure out what values resonate with you the most. There's a lot of values in iLead. And some of them are going to resonate with you as a person more than others. Figure out what are going to be yours. Maybe there's 3, maybe there's 5 of all of them that you say, these are my closest values to who I am or who I want to be. Students, find those values and hang on them for your whole life. Because as you've seen this world over the last 2 years, things are unpredictable, things are unsteady. You can't be certain, but what you can be certain of is what's at your core. And what's at your core are your values. So focus on that certainty as you live your lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The truth is, one thing I love about hosting events that have young generations is they listen. There is not a point where I came in and said, please, can you, okay. No, you guys are listening. Yeah, and that shows how much you want it. It's beautiful. In fact, Hassan, I need that book. Yeah, to be honest, because values are what makes us. But I'm an advocate of youth empowerment and good living. I'll be honest with you, I meet a lot of youth, and there is one thing that kills them. There is one choice they make that always kills them: drugs. I'm sorry to mix it, but it goes with it. Be careful. Because all this can go to waste if your mind can't choose well, because it's influenced. So you see, you are developing your mind, but one small thing, it's like the ink in the water, can kill it. I just thought maybe we can drop that in there. It might not be in the book, but be careful with that choice. Hey. Yeah. Pastor Charles, remember when I said I can surprise you anytime? This is the time. I would love you to come and help me welcome the guest of honor. And thank you. See, Zora is ready and with thank you. You see, we are having a good relationship here. Please allow me take this moment to help me invite the guest of honor. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
The beauty of this process is that I've been able to make a new friend. In fact, I've been able to make new friends. And one of those friends is Mr. Pascal Gatabazi. And Mr. Gatabazi is the Chief Technical Advisor for the Ministry of Education. When he was coming in, I told him, today is a beautiful thing to have our brother as the king. So he's our leader, but he's also part of us at iLead. And thank you so much for making the decision to be here. When you return, please thank the Honorable Minister of Education for being present with us through your presence. You're welcome to come and speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Hassan. You have always been a connector. You have even fixed the microphone. To be honest, it's difficult to speak after great leaders like you. You have said it all. Maybe I will have one or two, then I read the speech. The speech is just a formal speech. One, like I said, difficult to speak after, great leaders like you. But I want to join you all that one of the great leaders I have met is Ruth. That is one. Second, as Pastor Charles just introduced me, I'm a true believer of iLead. I believe in iLead because I have, with Pastor Charles, in a few occasions, I got to understand the values that are there, and I believe every parent would wish to have a child gone through this process, if I can call it so. With those few, now I can go to the formal speech. I want to begin by recognizing the leaders here. So we want to recognize the Maxwell Leadership Foundation delegation and leadership, George, Ray, and John. I mean, George, yes, Ray and John. And the president and founder of African New Life Ministries, Pastor Charles, a friend. Implementing partners for the iLead program in Rwanda. Heads of schools here present, we have already been introduced. Students undertaking the iLead program represented here. Ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if it's still good morning or good afternoon. Good afternoon. As already mentioned, on behalf of Honorable Minister of Education, it is a great pleasure and honor to be here with you today as we officially launch the iLead program in Rwanda. I would like to thank the delegation from the Maxwell Leadership Foundation for choosing Rwanda as the first country to implement the iLead program globally, and the first country in Africa, as already mentioned. I would like to thank the African New Life Ministries and the implementing partner of the iLead program in Rwanda. Your credibility and experience in education leadership for over 2 decades, as Pastor Charles mentioned already, has built the confidence that both the government of Rwanda and the Maxwell Leadership Foundation have found to be key for partnership. The government of Rwanda has put, as everyone has already mentioned, the power of youth. The government of Rwanda has put the youth of Rwanda at the core of its development agenda and central to the socio-economic development of our country. That is why everyone knows we have a fully fledged ministry responsible for youth. And it's amazing that the ministry is also responsible for culture. So youth and culture is values, is what we are talking about. The mission of the Ministry of Education is to transform the Rwandan citizen into skilled human capital for socio-economic transformation of our nation by ensuring equitable access to quality education, focusing on combating illiteracy, promoting science and technology, critical thinking, and positive values. I like the positive values, and this is what we are talking about. The Ministry of Education appreciates the role of value-based leadership instilled into our learners while they are still young. This is the narrative, or cut them young, so that they can have the right soft skills to match their academic competences. I'm happy. I just want to introduce about the MOU, but Pastor Charles have already alluded to it. I am happy to inform you that the Ministry of Education has signed a memorandum of understanding with African New Life Ministries as the implementing partner of the iLead program on behalf of the Maxwell Leadership Foundation. As a country, this partnership has given us the opportunity to partner with the Maxwell Foundation, the world's leading expert in leadership development, in an opportunity to instill value-based leaders in our youth. To conclude, actually I have cut the speech short. I consulted my boss to cut it short because all have been said. To conclude, I would like to pledge the commitment of the Ministry of Education as it is captured in the memorandum, in the MOU, to facilitate, support, and partner with the Maxwell Foundation leadership as we rise together the next generation of value-based leaders who will serve their nation, their continent, and the world. Thank you so much for your kind attention.